Hello and welcome to a patch report video for the 3rd of May, 2021. This is covering 0.9.9 patch for Jupiter Hell titled More. May comes after April, right? I think that's right. Anyway, let's get into it. So the More update is just kind of padding out the last few updates, which on the surface of it might sound like not a whole lot, but there's actually a lot of really interesting stuff here. So let's just kind of jump into their patch notes and read, and I'll kind of explain what all this stuff means. So they're expanding the messages system, which is moving to stage 2. So now one of 3 branches of per moon is locked. So each region, each zone in the game has multiple branches that you can branch off into. One of the 2 is locked. Now the way you figure out how they're locked is you check the message system, which was added in the last patch. The way they can be locked can be one of a few ways, but it's generally pretty similar the way you unlock them. It can require a key card. It can require fixing it via interacting with the elevator directly or interacting with a terminal, in both cases using a multi-tool to activate the elevator again. So it's a pretty simple method of reactivating it. However, if you're not expecting it or you're not prepared and you don't have any multi-tools, you're not going to be able to go down certain side objectives, which could be leading you towards other mini quests, which is a really interesting feature. I really like the way that this is implemented. There was a few semi-frustrating moments when I was messing around with things yesterday, where I ran into an elevator where I didn't have a multi-tool and it had an item behind it that I wanted to get, but things worked out and I ended up getting 2 wins in it anyway, so I'm not complaining. I really like the feature. I think it requires a lot more pre-planning and prep by the player, which makes things more interesting in the mid-game. It's a very nice change, and I'm looking forward to seeing it expanded, because that's what Epion, the developer, was saying. He says that it's going to be expanded upon, and I'm very curious to see what this questing system turns into over the next couple of patches. The next big change is the amount of exotics in the games has been more than doubled, along with many new exotics, and they all have their own unique, interesting perks. For example, a recent one that was added, I don't think it was added in the most recent patch, actually adds exploding bullets. So if you give an enemy, instead of them giving, they just explode, which is utterly hilarious and had me in hysterics for a good period of my stream the other day. I seriously, check out those new exotics and just read the perks, because those little purple perks are absolutely bonkers in some cases and very fun. God. That's just so silly. Now, the next update is a little bit more less noticeable, but also very interesting. So the animation system has been updated. Several improvements have been made to the animation system. You can actually see guns pointing in the correct direction and see them peering around corners now, because this game does run on a procedural animation system, so it's physics-based. But now when you go through doors, cameras are a little bit smoother. Everything's just nicer. It feels more polished. When you finish a level, instead of everything just immediately snapping to black, there's a fade. It's a very nice small improvement, and also now if you get hit with enough damage, which is very difficult to do, you can gib yourself, which I think should be an achievement, frankly. But don't throw plasma grenades under your feet, kids. It's bad for your health. And now the next thing that you'll notice is trait options. So you actually have the option to store level up points when you are leveling up. I don't know why you would actually want to do this, but I think it's a nice addition. Maybe you decide that you want to wait for a quest icon to pop up and see what loot is waiting in later areas, and then you can build specifically towards stuff. Personally, I'm going to continue spending my points the second I get them, but I think that the option is interesting, and especially maybe for a newer player who's maybe not totally sure what they want to do yet, and you're just kind of learning the game and feeling things out, and you want to save a couple points and spend them all at once. I could see that being a thing that's used. Nice little feature, frankly. Also, several master traits got buffs, including Onslaught, which has now more variety of things that it'll work with. Automatics and SMGs now benefit from Onslaught and have the sustained fire. Also, level 1 dodge has been reduced to minus 30%, and Survivor now grants a critical chance bonus dependent on your HP, which is kind of huge. So Survivor got a big buff, which is interesting, because I've never been a big fan of Survivor, so maybe it's time to actually do a Survivor run. The next thing is station options. So manufacturing stations now have a dismantle option, so you can bring a little extra multi-tool to charge them, and you can manufacture a new weapon and transfer your old mods at the same time, which is kind of a big deal if you're not playing the class that has the ability to dismantle items. So if you're not playing tech, suddenly your options have risen quite a bit, and changing your build is now a lot more practical instead of like this is something that's just kind of left up to chance. Technical stations now have auto calibration for the cost of 1 charge and 1 mod slot. You can get an interesting new perk to your weapon. It also comes in kit form, which can be found in the later levels in the game, at least in my experience. I found it once pretty deep in the game, and also repairing armor at a station now repairs your armor entirely instead of just a percentage. The enemy count and type has now also been upgraded, so the enemy count and type that is placed on a level is based on your experience, on the experience that they give, hence you get now much more consistent level progression instead of like randomly leveling up earlier on if you just happen to run into a harder group of enemies. So rather than, so now you're going to have a much more consistent kind of power curve as you go through the area. I noticed this immediately when I leveled up on the first area, which just doesn't happen before, or didn't happen before, and so an interesting balance change. I think I need to play a little bit more of the game to actually like really feel this one out, but nice change altogether. And for those of you who are way too good at this game, we now have the Angel of Exhalation, which is like quite literally a go F yourself for players who've been playing the game for a while, because it's like Nightmare, but it's like, it's not, it's harder than the hardest way to play the game, and good luck to anybody who can actually go beat it. I'm sure somebody already has, and they've probably speedran it in 15 minutes and making me look bad at the video game, but frankly, that's a challenge that I'm not going to complete anytime soon. Aside from that, there's minor changes. Overall, I think that 9.9 is a nice follow-up to the most recent patch. Nice in a quick period of time, too. Very much looking forward to the August 5th leaving of early access. Seriously, if you haven't checked out Jupiter Hell yet, I think you owe it to yourself. This game, if you like traditional roguelikes and procedurally generated dungeon crawlers, this is a bloody great one. Even if like the theme or the soundtrack isn't totally for you, I could see this game kind of having, that sort of Binding of Isaac appeal where it's not necessarily the theme that you go for, but like you stick around for the gameplay because it is so much fun to just play, even if you're bad at it. Then I should know. Thank you very much for supporting this channel. If you want to see more stuff like this, I guess, I will be doing more of these in the future for games that I am interested in, and there's more Dwarf Fortress on the YouTube channel than you could reasonably watch in a lifetime. Also, if you haven't yet, you should watch the interview that I did with Epion. It's an hour and 20 minutes, and it's practically Jupiter Hell the movie. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.